Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to the MMA Short Show. As always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. And it shouldn't be a shock to anybody, but it just feels like every single year, the UFC is just breaking their own records. They're getting bigger and bigger. And even with this year, it's no shock. With UFC 300, you had the Sphere. We had all these huge cards. And as an MMA fan, I absolutely love this, man, for the sport. It's huge. And, I've been watching it for 16, 17 years now. And what's more impressive is just to see all these guys. Like, if we would have guessed this about 5 years ago, if we would have said you're not going to see Conor McGregor for a while, and especially 2022, 2023, 2024, how's the UFC going to handle it, man? And to see them be able to just kind of plug and play with these guys, and even, the active fighters like Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. I mean, you can name them for days. Tony Ferguson's fallen off. The Clay Guida's out there. The Robbie Lawlers that have fallen off, the Diaz brothers that have fallen off, the Jorge Masvidals. Like, you can name all your favorite fighters, the Wonder Boys, the Usmans, anybody, Izzy's, all these guys. The ones that have kind of, we watched them grow, and now they're officially kind of getting to that old spot where they might be retiring here soon. It's so impressive to see these newcomers just come up, taking the sport to the next level. All of these guys are insanely good, talented in every different aspect that you can look in the sport. The training is just evolving, the fight's evolving, the fight game, their IQ, everything has just been amazing. So as a fan, has been watching for so long, it's so cool to actually start watching some new fighters that you're not so emotionally attached to, so you don't feel like you're having a heart attack during the fight night. But with all this being said, here are 10 of the biggest breakout UFC fighters in 2024, and you better be ready for them in 2025. So at number one, you could probably argue, outside of an established champion or somebody who, just took their career to the next level in 2024, like Islam or Bilal, any of these guys we named. This guy right here arguably probably had one of the best 2024s that you can possibly ask of, and it's Carlos Prates. And I'll give you a spoiler real quick. He's not going to be the only member of the Fight Nerds team on here. So not only is he a part of one of the funnest groups ever out here right now, and the funnest camps, this dude's only 31 years old. He's funny as hell when he wins. He's smoking cigars, smoking cigarettes, drinking, whiskey, drinking all the alcohol all the time, doing everything that they probably are going to tell you not to do if you're trying to be a professional fighter. Yet he's going out here and just absolutely starching people like Neil Magny, Trevin Giles, Radke, Jing Liang. I mean, this dude is doing the damn thing to these guys. And you could argue there's going to be other guys on this list who probably had a better, at least level of competition that they beat this year. But, we watch people all the time. Just a guy that I can instantly throw out there, Mike Malott. This dude was supposed to be, the next big guy from Canada. A lot of people comparing him to GSP and, doing the damn thing out there. But this man goes out there against a guy like Neil Magny, who we've watched year after year go out there and be the gatekeeper of the division. And yet he'll lose to somebody he's supposed to beat, but yet he'll beat the guy that's supposed to be the next big thing. So Neil Magny always plays spoiler. And for this man, Carlos Prates, to go out there and absolutely starch him, and to starch Trevin Giles, and to starch everybody that he fought this year, that's the thing you need, man. If you're going to go out there and beat, the middle class guys, the middle of the road guys, especially on your way to a championship, you better starch him, and that's exactly what Carlos Prates is doing. Not only is he amazing in the octagon, but this man at 170 just looks like he's ready to kill anything. He's got the touch of death. In a weight class where we're starting to see all the, the Leons and the Kamaru Usmans and the Colby Covingtons kind of fade out. You're starting to see the Shavkats, the Ian Garys, the JDMs. And this man, Carlos Prates, fits right in there, man. And I cannot wait for him in 2025. It's off to the damn races at this rate. And I mean, I don't know what more you can ask for the guy. He's an absolute killer. He maybe doesn't have the greatest record, but I kind of like that out of certain guys where they just kind of hone it in and they just start clicking and everything starts working out well and they're in the right environment. And this is exactly what Carlos Prates is doing. So it's off to the races for him at 170 in 2025. And I'm really looking to him play spoiler for all them guys like JDM and Ian Gary and Shavkat. So I'm really looking forward to that. And let's get into number two. At 18-0 already in his career, I think maybe most of you are probably going to sit here and say he should have already been on this list, especially with his name. But for me, I don't care who you are. I got to watch you actually fight a top 5, top 3, top 2 contender. And this man, Umar Nurmagomedov, this year completely changed my entire mind on him. Yes, it's one thing when you're absolutely destroying people that nobody has heard of or is not even in the rankings yet, which doesn't mean they're not a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. All these guys are killers in the UFC. But until you start fighting the top echelon like he did against Corey Sandhagen this year and put on a great performance. Some thought Corey won, but regardless of who you thought won, it's a lot like when Sugar fought Piotr Jan for me. You might have thought Piotr won. You might have thought Suga won, but they definitely proved that they deserve to be in here in this top contendership here. So for this man, Umar Nurmagomedov, to be in this list, you got to throw him in there. The dude's got an early 2025 title shot against Merab. He might be your UFC champion by this time next year. So for him to not be on that list, it's mind-blowing. How can he not be on it? This man came in here, he went 2-0 this year. The first fight, he looked great, but it was against a no-namer. Everybody's kind of throwing up question marks. But then he goes out there and does what he does to Corey Sandhagen. And yes, it helps that his family and the name and everything, everybody in your camp has already kind of laid the groundwork. So, of course, when we got Khabib and Islam and all these guys, kind of endorsing you, it's going to happen. But he definitely won me over Corey Sandhagen this year. And this man goes out there and beats Merab. I mean, my goodness. I mean, how can you not throw him on the list? So I'm excited to see what he's got going on. It's always exciting to see somebody out of the Khabib camp come in here and do their damn thing. These Dagestanis are killers. So that one's an easy one. Number 3 on this list was probably going to make it regardless, starting off the year 3-0, some impressive wins. But when you finish the year on the last main event of the year for the UFC and you go out there and destroy Colby Covington like that, buddy, you might as well have just won the championship if you're asking me. You just became a fan favorite, the ass whooping you put on Colby Covington. So Joaquin Buckley, he's got to be on this list. The year started off cool, whatever. He's had some tough years. I remember seeing him get knocked out by Kevin Hall, and I remember him, maybe some tough decisions here and there, some tough fights left and right. But I love watching a fighter that's fought for quite a bit and just doesn't give up, just super relentless, comes out there and just proves himself like, hey, I'm still learning, and one day I'm going to put all this stuff together, and it's going to work out tremendous. And that's exactly what Joaquin Buckley did this year, man. You could have listened to everybody. Like, he's been calling out Ian Gary. He's been calling out Hamzat for years, been calling out Wonderboy for years. All these guys won't take fights with him because they just don't think he's worth it. And then he goes out there and just makes a name for himself in 2024. Knocking out Wonderboy, basically knocking out Colby Covington and doing the damage that he did to him. I mean, it's off to the races for the guy. He's going to be, in the top 3 contendership now after beating somebody like that? Who's he got? Somebody like Usman. You can maybe make the Ian Gary fight, the Shavkat, the JDM. I mean, Bilal, anything up there at 170 is going to be fun. Leon Edwards would be a fun one. So shouts out to the man. Do I think he can win these fights? Like, maybe not, but I mean, I didn't think he could beat Wonderboy, and he went out there and beat him. So I'm excited for Joaquin Buckley. Shouts out to the guy. He's only, 30 years old, 31 years old or something like that. So he's got plenty of ball game left in him. So I'm excited for the guy. So let's get to number 4. This one right here. You could arguably have thrown him on there from 2023, but he's got to be on the list for 2024 after what he did for us, man. Diego Lopes, stand up for this man, Diego Lopes. 3-0 in UFC in 2024. His only loss at all in the UFC is Movsar Evloev. So already at that rate, the dude's absolute game. He goes out there and just kills people like, Sadiq Youssef that he knocked out, goes out there and destroys Brian Ortega. He'll stay in a fight and completely save a card basically at this rate and fight a guy like Dan Ige on 6 hours notice, 2 hours notice or whatever it is. It's so impressive to see what this guy does and just stays in the fight, doesn't care what's changed on him. He's just out there proving like, hey, I want to fight, I want to win. So with this division being so crazy as it is, I mean, after such an impressive, year out of Ilia Topuria, I mean, my goodness, Diego Lopes right now is argued to be one of the only guys that could even contend with him right now. So if he continues to do the damn thing, I don't know who's going to beat him. I mean, the next fights that I think are out there, they floated some Volkanovski fight maybe here in the early, part of 2025. They floated the whole, Topuria fight. Like I said, you can have the Max Holloway fight out there. The good old, Yair Rodriguez fight's always fun. Like, it's off to the races for this dude. It's already been there, but 2024 to stay in the card, to save it at the Sphere, to do a UFC 300 the way that you did. I mean, honestly, shouts out to the guy. Shouts out to him. Absolutely phenomenal performances, and it's who knows what's next with him. He could be your champion in 2025. So let's get in number 5. Another super impressive guy that we watched him in 2023 have some rough fights. He had a weird one with Sean Strickland and then had a weird one with Chris Curtis, but just takes it on the chin and goes, you know what? I'm just going to go out there and just kill dudes. Nassourdine Imavov, 2024, 3-0, doing his damn thing, taking out guys like Roman Dolidze, Jared Cannonier, and that man Brandon Allen. I mean, honestly, anybody that takes out Jared Cannonier like Imavov did, you are a killer, sir. Like, you are the one, sir. You are phenomenal. So I cannot wait to see what's next for him. He's got Izzy next. He's got Izzy on February 1st to start off 2025 to go 5-0 pretty much in almost a calendar year. You're basically, if you look at February of 2024 to February of 2025, he could have 4 wins and all 4 very impressive wins. Like, I'm telling you what, man, he goes out there and beats Israel Adesanya. We're going to be sitting here going, man, Nassourdine Imavov's a killer. You know, we thought Sean Strickland made him look bad, but this dude's just coming into his own. I think he's only, 29 years old? I mean, about to be 30? Absolutely killer. I mean, it's, again, I'm going to say it this entire time. It is off to the races of 2025, and this is the whole point of the video. So 2025, 2026, again, 185, 170. We are getting some killers that are taking over the places of these old guys. So I'm excited to see this Izzy fight. You know, it seems like Izzy's still pretty comfortable and wants to be in there. So if he does beat Izzy, it's not just like beating some old Izzy. It's still Israel Adesanya, baby. This brings us to number 6 on the list, and I almost didn't add him on here, but the year that this man had, especially when you take it into consideration that he almost got knocked out within the first minute of his first fight in 2024, this man, Renato Moicano, goes out there, looks like he's going to get destroyed by Jalen Turner, bust everybody's parlays because Jalen Turner wants to walk away and not finish the job. But for Renato Moicano, it was the start of something great this year. Goes on, beats Jalen Turner in the very next round, goes on the mic, drops one of the hottest, post-fight press conferences we've heard or post-fight interviews that we've heard all year, goes on to take out Drew Dober, goes on to take out Benoit Saint Denis as an underdog, a massive underdog, and is just sitting here now at 37 years old, just finding everything right now. He looks like he's just willing to go in there and just do whatever. He's super funny, super charismatic. His English is coming in great. He's got a great podcast. Like, truly all around, Renato Moicano is defying the odds, especially at 155. 37 years old, you're supposed to start falling off. You're supposed to start losing, especially if you're kind of stuck at the middle of the road of the division. But for him to go out there and do what he did this year, he's got to make the list, man. It's super impressive, and he's setting himself up for some phenomenal stuff in 2025. He's got Beneil Dariush's very first fight of 2025 in February. So I'm excited to see how that one goes. He can maybe even, who knows, this man might even get a title shot somehow in 2025 if Islam keeps just dominating. Who knows? Who knows what Renato Moicano can do? At that rate, they're just throwing people in just to get a new name in and just to stack the title defenses. So you never know. He could get some lucky stuff and become champion next year. That highly unlikely, but you just never know. And this brings us to number 7. At then number 7 here, you could argue, outside of maybe my one honorable mention or maybe my last entry or whatever, depending on how you guys feel about it, this guy right here is probably the hottest prospect when it comes to, who's actually going to go on and win the championship. You could argue right now another member of Fight Nerds right here, Caio Borralho. Man, this dude is a killer at 185. Yes, he was only 2-0 in 2024, but when you look at the wins over Paul Craig and then to go out there and just destroy Jared Cannonier the way that you destroyed him, again, I'm going to say it this entire video. Make fun of me, throw it in the comments. It's off to the races for this dude at 185. When you guys got like Robert Whitaker and Izzy and, Sean Strickland, depending if he loses against DDP, I mean, at 185, it's about time we start getting some new fresh guys, man. We're kind of getting sick of the whole Roman Dalidzes and the Marvin Vittoris and all these guys that we've been watching, the same guys forever at 185, and they're all starting to get old. So this could be a very fresh one. I think he's only, 29 years old, 31 years old, something like 30, 31 years old. Fun guy, charismatic, jacked, huge, ginormous. Saw him up against John Jones not too long ago, and this dude is ginormous. So 185, I mean, it's going to be fun to see how it really happens with the whole Hamzat thing. Dricus du Plessis is pretty big, so it'll be fun to see how this plays out. But this guy in 2025, 2026, again, man, it's up to him to do what he wants to do. He can take it as far as he wants. So let's stick with it. Number 8, stick with Team Fight Nerds. This dude, Jean Silva, this dude is a killer at 155. Yes, when you look at the actual, competition that he's fighting, it's not quite there yet compared to some. I mean, yes, he knocked out, Charles Jourdain this year and Drew Dober, but I think this is like the third guy on the list that has beat Drew Dober this year. So we kind of got to take it with a grain of salt a little bit here. But when you just watch this man fight, this is the one you got to let the eyes do the testing for you, man. Because this dude is fun to watch. He's super explosive. He's almost in there like shaking your hand when he's beating your ass. He kind of feels bad for the cool things that he does to you, where he'll pull off some crazy like tornado kick or some crazy shit, and he'll look at you and just smile and kind of give you a hug and make it all awkward. So not only is he throwing some weird stuff that you probably aren't going to defend as it is, now you got to deal with the guy who's playing, mental games with you and giving you kisses and hugs and all these things after everything you do and, laughs and gives you high fives. Like, it's a tough, man. So to see him do his thing, a lot of people right now are out there talking that this could be the guy to take out Islam. Just the explosiveness. Again, super fun, super charismatic there in the Team Fight Nerds. So it's a bunch of fun for these guys. I'm excited to see what he does in 2025. And then at number 9, this is my last entry, a legit entry, and I'm still not the biggest fan yet. I'm still not the biggest believer, but you cannot deny what this guy is doing. And when you look at his very first fight in 2025 against Michael Venom Page, I mean, this dude can get himself in the top 10, top 8 look real quick. And it's Shara Bullet, man. This guy, one-eyed Willie out here doing his damn thing. Sure, the guys he's beat aren't that impressive, but when you got a guy out here throwing a double spinning back fist knockouts, I mean, anything's going to be fun to watch. He's got one eye. He's going out there just killing people. Like, yes, it seems like he can only fight in the Middle East at this rate, but it's going to be fun to see how far he can truly take this. Because if he continues to win and somehow beats a guy like Michael Venom Page, and especially if it's an exciting fashion, I mean, what's next for the guy? There ain't no stopping him. The guy's going to be a social media king at the time. People are going to love to watch him. The average family won't care what he's saying if all we know is he's got one eye and he's going out there and throwing double spinning back fist knockouts. Like, yes, that's what people want to watch. That's the average fan's dream. So that ends the list. But, my honorable mention or my 10th spot, I wanted to throw him in there. It depends what you guys think. Some people said it was last year, the last 2 years now. But when your biggest wins against Josh Emmett or Bryce Mitchell, depending, and you come out in the same calendar year and not only win the championship, but you knock out the GOAT of that division and Alexander Volkanovski, and then however many months, 8 months later, you go out and knock out the other argued GOAT, Max Holloway, all in one calendar year. Ilia Topuria, I know he's the fighter of the year by far, in my opinion. You could argue the Poton, but I just think beating Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski in the same year you win your belt against, that's just mind-blowing, man. That's absurd. This isn't like he's beating Volkanovski 4 years from now, or he's beating Max Holloway after he's got knocked out 6 times in a row. He's the first one to do it. I don't care what y'all say. To me, he is on this list. He is breakout fighter of the year, if you're asking me, but you can argue he's champion. Is he a breakout fighter? I don't know what you want to say, but nobody can deny that the 2 wins he has in 2024, those are argued the 2 biggest wins ever back-to-back in the same calendar year, especially if you want to consider your first title defense and your first title win. So, as always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys are still watching, you guys are the ones. And you guys let me know what your guys' favorite breakout fighter of the year was, or if I missed any, or if you guys hate some of the ones on my list. Trust me, I like all the comments. They're amazing. And from my family to yours, you guys have a great Christmas. I'll be posting here and then for sure. This still in this little holiday season. But as always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. Let's go, baby. Let's go.